What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I just got home from a drive with the KRX. I went to go do some errands, went to the stores, grabbed some things, and I wanted to drive this car again because it was sitting for a little while since I got the wagon running. Stupidest thing this morning, the car has been sitting right here. I mean, half of it's in the sun, half of it's in the shade, and I decided that I was going to wash the car real quick because the windshield was looking like this. And granted, it was super hot. Today is super hot. I don't know why, but it's freaking hot. Yesterday was super windy. I decided to wash the car a little bit, especially the windshield, and as soon as I sprayed water throughout the car, then I started spraying the windshield down, it freaking cracked my damn windshield. If you look at it, I don't know what it is, but it cracked my freaking windshield. Now this only gives me another reason to get another windshield, because when I first got this car, you can tell all these little scratches was on here already when I got it, and it does kind of mess up the visibility when I'm driving the car. So windshield's cracked, got a reason to change it now, get a fresh one on there. But I took it for a drive, and I was filling out the car again, and it is really freaking stiff. I did set up this car for track, and I do like the stiffness of the car, the way it handles and everything. But if I'm daily driving it, it's kind of rough, especially with the Recaro bucket seat. It's really not fun for my back. Now I don't drive it all the time, but that car is also stiff, but it's more comfortable because of the seat. And if I decide that I'm going to drive this car, or I mean, if I cycle between the two cars, I want it to be at least comfortable. This car is comfortable because of the seat. This car is just pure rough because of the suspension setup and the bucket seat that's in it. So that brings us to today's sponsor, guys. I had this package sitting there for a little bit. Let's open it up. I need you to move the hell over. Today's video is sponsored by MAXPEEDINGRODS. Now, if you guys don't know MAXPEEDINGRODS, they are a company with a ton of car parts. MAXPEEDINGRODS has came on board with us throughout the year, and this car we have the traction bar, this car we have the intake manifold and the shifter box. That car we have the shifter box. Today we have some coilover system. Usually I don't ask for anything or buy anything that I'm not going to use or not going to need, and I didn't really need this, but they insisted that I give it a shot, so I'm going to give it my honest opinion. If you guys watch other automotive channels on YouTube, you guys probably seen a lot of this suspension floating around, and there are a lot of mixed reviews, so I'm going to be swapping into this car today. Now on their website, they have multiple colors. They have, I believe, red, yellow, and gray. I really hope this is the gray set. No, it is the red set. We got the MAXPEEDINGRODS cards right here, service card, and the social media card right here, contact information. This is cool. We got some perch wrenches. I didn't see this in the other box, so that's nice to have. So I got one of the shocks out, and the first thing I noticed is that the sticker is upside down, as well as the spring. Now that's not going to affect the way this thing is going to work, but I'm just saying this definitely has some weight to it. The spring seems to be like less of a gap opposed to like softer spring rate. I don't know what the spring rate is for these. I don't know what these numbers even mean. Top hat, I mean, it looks good. Anodized aluminum. It's got, oh, it's got dampening on it too. Did not expect that. I don't know about you guys, but that logo looks off-centered, and I'm not crazy OCD, but that is totally noticeable. I'm excited to get this installed into the car to really give it an honest review. And I do notice that this bottom section right here seems to be for a CRX or a DA, because the CRX and DA has a smaller diameter fork, and the listing for this was for the EK, the EG, and the DC. So this seems to fit the EF fork, and that's the same one that I have in that car. That's good. I don't have to go look for the EG DC forks. And yeah, I'm just about ready to get this installed. I think the first thing I'm going to do with all of the shocks is to make sure all of the hardware are tight, and then we'll jack up the car. So I got everything out the box, and I noticed that they gave these little sleeves right here. So if you're trying to buy the suspension for your EG or DC or EK, I mean, I guess this is universal. Never even thought about a piece like this making it compatible between the years, but it slides over this, and then you use the newer year fork, and then you can slap it into your car. EK might need a little mod because the LCA is a little different in the rear, but it will work for an EK as well. This nut on top is loose, and I mean everything else is loose too. Like this body is loose, this one is loose. stuff like that. So obviously, like I said before, I toss it in my car, I'm gonna double check everything, and let me show you guys real quick. Loose, like really loose. So if you decide that you're gonna get this, double check everything. Now it's tight. Tight. That one's tight. This one's pretty loose. So it seems that the two front one are loose. I do suggest that these nuts are nylon threaded, so it's not easy for it to back out. If it did back out, I do notice that the nut bottom side has this little like teeth on it, and that could definitely leave an imprint on the chassis where the top hat bolts to, or to the washer and stuff like that. It could back out. I'm not saying it will, but it could. So if you guys are rocking this, I may suggest you to switch it out to a nylon threaded nut, but we don't have it, so we're gonna rock it. Now what I'm gonna check is the height of the spring. I'm gonna measure it from the top hat to the top of the first collar, and this is the rear shock. So this one to the collar is at 7 inches. You can see it right there, and the other rear we're looking at about 7 1/8. So I am going to, because these are softer spring, I'm going to preload it a little bit more. Granted, this thing has dampening, so I think 7 1/8. This one I'm going to preload a little bit more. The front we're looking at about 7 1/16, and we're just about the same over here. So I'm gonna leave the fronts alone. I'm gonna adjust this one real quick. Another thing, it's cool that they include the tool here for the purchase, right? But they're two of the same tool. Now the purchase, there are one big and one small, and normally the smaller ones are for the lower collar because of how small they are, right? It fits the diameter, but the bigger one, it doesn't even fit the curvature. And I tried spinning it just now and I freaking slipped, and these guys they freaking hurt. So again, it's nice to have the tools, but hopefully in the future they could provide one small and one large perch tools, which will make it a lot easier to turn these perches. Now I'm not going to measure the bottom until I take off the ones currently from the car, so we can kind of get it closer to the same height. I'm not worried about it being higher or lower, but I want it to be somewhat close because I kind of like the way the car height is currently at. Once we get our height, we'll lock these bottom perches or collars. What do you guys call these? Perches or collars? Let me know in the comments below. Now that's a chair. So I am running the Skunk 2 Pro S2s. When this was in my brother's car, he said it was stiff. Didn't really believe it. So threw it in my car, and well, it's freaking stiff. Now, I could simply just loosen up the preload a little bit and make it a little softer, but when I drive with this suspension, I just gotta be a G about it. So I'm gonna leave it alone. Two 14 mils in the engine bay. Yeah, I got, oh wait, that washer's not supposed to come off. What the heck is going on here, boy? Down here in the bottom we have a 17 mil bolt with a 17 nut. Typically you need a wrench on one side, and then you can shoot it out or ratchet it out. Now if you did this the right way, you would have two brake line bolts that goes right here. Now I don't know why this is on this end and not on this side, because that's typically where the bracket's at, but mine is not attached. When you got all the bolts separated, shock should just come out of the fork. It comes right out just like this. The fork can stay in there because we're going to be reusing that. Now I'm going to take this and measure the height so we can set the MAXPEEDING rod. By the looks of it, my shock is a little bit shorter than the MAXPEEDING rod, so that means I'm gonna have to adjust a collar going up. It's about an inch difference, and then I'm gonna have to adjust the body to match that. Houston, we have a problem. So from the top hat to this bottom body right here, we're at about 12 and 5/8. On this one we are at about 12 and 3/4. It's a 1/4 inch off from each other, but I'm hoping that the spring rate is soft enough that it'll compress to get it to be about the same height as this. And the thing is, the bottom body is actually bottomed out, like it's topped out, and I can't spin it anymore. So I guess we're just gonna max out both, measure these two the same, and like I said, get this back into the car. So perches are all tight. Now to reverse the process, I am going to use the stock hardware washer and 14 nuts. I don't want to use the other one because I don't want to just twist my paint with all those teeth underneath the nut. Last thing right here is the brake line. If you look, it's hitting the frame, but cool thing is it is removable. So right here is an 8mm nut. Loosen it up, adjust it accordingly somewhere. I don't know, somewhere here. Or actually, you know what? I can move this. Now I can put a bolt there. This thing is threaded for a Honda 12mm. Brake line secured. This side is done. Now let's do the other side. All right, so we got the passenger side installed, and I think what I'm going to do as far as dampening goes, I am going to put it in the middle. So I don't know which way. So tight would be righty and loosey would be soft. I don't know, the box didn't come with any instructions, so I'm gonna assume left is soft and right is hard. So I'm gonna count from left to right how many clicks, and then I'm gonna divide it by 2 to put it in the middle. So we got 1, 2, 3, 23, 24, 24. So we're gonna go 12 clicks back. God damn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, front's done, wheels back on, bang. Now let's get the car back on the ground. So we got the car back on the ground, and the ride height is a little bit higher than what it was before. Not a big deal. That means when you got more ground clearance, and hopefully the ride height is a little more comfortable. Now you're probably thinking, you're crazy for taking out skunk 2s for max speeding rod. There's a reason for everything, guys. There's a reason for everything. So I fixed my cargo cover the other day. I took some Home Depot like latches and I screwed it into the cargo cover, right? And then I took adhesive promoter for headliner. It's a Permatex product. I sprayed it in between the board and the carpet, laid it back over, and if you look, you can't really tell they're there, but my cargo cover is not 2-piece anymore, and it doesn't slide forward when I drive, so that's awesome. So for the back suspension, there are 2 14mm bolts. You got to get like a freaking wrench that'll fit in here. The wheel well section, there's only 1 14mm down here. Some shocks don't have a welded nut on the body, so sometimes you might need a wrench on the other side, but this one, it's welded on. Kind of hard to do this with one hand, so I'm gonna take this off. This will droop. Shock comes out. Now let's measure it. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier. Some shock bodies have their nut welded on here and some shocks don't. So this one right here, I'm gonna have to put a nut on the other side and secure this lower body to the LCA. So go ahead and get this installed. Get the labels facing outward. Got the camber arm back on. It's weird, I smell the E85 from this car. Like it's pretty strong, but it smells good. So got this lower body to the LCA secured with the nut on the other side, somewhere here-ish. Again, I'm gonna retain the stock nuts. So for the dampening, I'm gonna do 16. I'm gonna stiffen up a little bit in the back. If it's even noticeable going from 12 to 16. 1, 2, 3, third, forward, and feeding, 6, 10, 16. Now with the power of editing, let's get this one switched out. Boom, we got the shock installed, guys. We can slap the wheel back on, lower the car, and let's take it for a drive. First impression, not too shabby. Every suspension needs to have mileage to break it in properly. I do notice that when I hit a bump, it's not a hard like bottom out. It actually absorbs it a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely smoother than my last suspension, 100%. Side rattle is still there, kind of. So I just got back home, and I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. First impression, not bad at all. I took it for like a 10-mile drive, not too far, and I took it on some turns and stuff like that, hit some bumps I normally like dodge, and it's definitely not as stiff as my last suspension. It's actually smooth sailing, it's comfortable, at least I can say it's comfortable, so that's a plus. And I do notice that the front is lower than when we first installed it, literally like 30 minutes ago. I get a lot of questions, comments from people that are like barely getting into Hondas or cars, modifying cars in general, and people always ask me like what budget suspension is out there that doesn't break the pocket. And now that we've tried the MAXPEEDINGRODS suspension, the coilover system, I do recommend it for the quality, for its price, something budget, something basic to get started with. And if you guys are interested in MAXPEEDING coilovers for your car, go to the link in the description below, maxpeedingrod.com, and check out their line of suspension. They have a ton for different make and models, and before you guys check out, use discount code YSTATIC. Now for daily driving, I am happy with the suspension. It's definitely not a back buster anymore, and it is not a permanent suspension for this car. When I end up going back to the track, I'll swap back over to my Skunk 2s, and we'll get this car stiffened back up a little bit. If you guys heard me do that 1, 2, 3, 4, I felt the car kind of like seesawing a little bit. That's why you heard them tire chirping, but I'm overall pretty happy with it. So like I said, if you guys are interested, link in the description below. Big shout out to MAXPEEDINGRODS for this opportunity. Once again, thank you for sponsoring this video with a set of coilover system. I hope you guys find this video a little bit enjoyable, and it'll give you that insight of whether you should buy it or not. But before we close this video out, I did get a package from the mail, and we're gonna open that right now. This is from Nicholas Catch'emall, and it has a Honda box, but holy moly, we got some Honda oil filter 2. We got a Prum Ultra. Let me know in the comments below, do you guys mess with Prum? I mean, I do. I kind of do, I sort of do sometimes, but I've been using OEM Honda. We do have, oh, there's another Honda filter, and we have one of these easy freaking oil filter like wrench thing. I've never owned one of these before, but this is definitely going to come in clutch, and it seems like it's perfect for the Honda filter. Right here we got a note. It says, first of all, I would like to thank you for everything that you've done not just for the community, but for everything that you continue to do. You inspire everyone that watches your channel. You have inspired the next generation of enthusiasts. Without you, the EF community would be lacking of knowledge and good people. Not only are you educating and inspiring people, but you are providing entertainment through hard times. Please continue to do what you do. Without people like you, the world would be a lesser place. I am sorry for the loss of your father. I understand how hard it can be. I lost my father this past October. Like your father, he taught me much of what I know. I appreciate that, and sorry for your loss as well too. I just thought that you could use these oil filter and tool more than myself. These are left over from when I owned a 2012 Civic Si. Thank you for all you do. Instagram, Mechanic05 with a 3 and a 05. Thank you, Nicholas, for the care package. I truly appreciate it. Again, sorry for your loss as well too. I am definitely going to put those filters to use because I do a lot of engine swapping and, you know what I'm saying, a lot of like oil changes because of E85 and stuff like that. I appreciate you taking your time sending that to the PO box. So that is going to wrap up this video, guys. Again, thank you MAXPEEDING Macy for this opportunity once again. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to continue with me on the 88HF CRX, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.